The United States has spent billions restricting AI chip exports to China. The goal: slow China's AI development. On June 29, a Chinese food delivery company released a 1.6 trillion parameter AI model. Trained entirely on Chinese chips. Zero Nvidia. Zero US hardware of any kind. And it beat GPT-5.5 on coding. Here is why that changes everything. Since 2023, the United States has restricted which Nvidia chips can be sold to China. H100. H200. Blackwell. All blocked. The logic was clear. The most advanced AI models require the most advanced chips to train. Block the chips, slow the models. China cannot train frontier AI without frontier chips. That was the theory. LongCat 2.0 is the refutation. Meituan is China's dominant food delivery and local services platform. Think Uber Eats plus DoorDash plus Yelp, all in one company. On June 29, 2026, Meituan released LongCat 2.0. A 1.6 trillion parameter AI model. Under MIT license. Free. Open source. Available to every researcher and company on Earth. The architecture is mixture of experts. It activates between 33 and 56 billion parameters per token. The complexity of your query determines how many parameters fire. Context window, 1 million tokens. The same class as the best Western frontier models. Now the benchmark that matters. SWE Bench Pro, the gold standard coding benchmark. Every frontier model is measured here. LongCat 2.0, 59.5%. GPT-5.5, 58.6%. LongCat 2.0 beats GPT-5.5 on coding. Not by a large margin, but it beats it. At zero cost. On domestic Chinese chips. Released by a food delivery company. That sentence should not be possible under the export control theory. It happened anyway. Here is the training detail that changes everything. The cluster, 50,000 cards. Not Nvidia H100S. Not H200S. Not Blackwell. Chinese ASICs, domestic chips built by Huawei Ascend, Cambricon, and Biren Technology. 50,000 cards of domestic silicon trained a model that beats GPT 5.5. Why were the export controls supposed to prevent this? The controls cut off China's access to the world's most efficient training hardware. The assumption: Chinese domestic chips are significantly less capable than Nvidia. Therefore China would need far more of them. Therefore training frontier models would be prohibitively slow or expensive. Therefore China would fall behind. That was the logic. Here is what actually happened. China invested aggressively in domestic chip development. Huawei's Ascend 910C and 910D series improved faster than US analysts predicted. Software optimization compensated for hardware gaps in key training scenarios. 50,000 domestic chips, coordinated at scale, produce enough aggregate compute. The efficiency gap was smaller than assumed. The determination was larger than assumed. The result is LongCat 2.0. Now the timing that makes this even harder to ignore. June 12, the US government bans Fable 5 access for all foreign nationals globally. The stated reason: protect US AI advantage in cybersecurity. June 29, 17 days later, China releases LongCat 2.0. Frontier class model. Trained without a single US chip. Comparable benchmark performance. Open source. Available to everyone on Earth. The ban was answered in 17 days. This is the detail that tells you everything about the scale of China's AI push. Meituan is not DeepSeek. It is not a dedicated AI research lab. It is not Alibaba or Tencent, known primarily for technology. It is a food delivery platform. Its core business is matching hungry people with nearby restaurants and delivery drivers. Meituan has massive computing infrastructure for logistics routing, recommendations, and real-time optimization. It repurposed that infrastructure to train a frontier AI model that beats GPT 5.5. Let that land. If Meituan can do this, any Chinese company with significant compute resources can. You do not need to be DeepSeek. You do not need direct state backing. You need Compute, data, and the determination to try. China has all three, at scale, at dozens of companies. The frontier is no longer a club with US chip-based membership requirements. Meituan just proved it. The US strategy assumed a chip gap. Restrict chips, create a capability gap, buy time to establish a permanent US lead. LongCat 2.0 tells us the chip gap is smaller, and the time bought was shorter, than the strategy assumed. The open source dimension makes this more complex. LongCat 2.0 is MIT licensed. Every researcher in every country can download, fine-tune and deploy it. Including US researchers. Including companies in countries that have not chosen sides in the AI Cold War. A frontier model trained on domestic Chinese chips is now available globally. For free. The US cannot restrict who uses it. This forces a policy question that nobody has a clean answer to. If chip export controls did not prevent China from training a frontier model, what should the US do instead? Option 1, tighter controls on even lower performance chips. China builds around those too. Option 2, invest more aggressively in US AI innovation. Win through speed, not restriction. Option 3, engage on international AI governance that includes China rather than excludes it. None of these are clean. All of them are now necessary. Because the containment strategy just produced its clearest counterexample. The practical impact on AI tools you actually use. Open source models at frontier performance means more free and cheap AI options. LongCat 2.0 is available to run locally. Costs per token drop further. The AI price war that has been running since spring, just got a new competitor. One that charges nothing. Here is the market context that makes this even larger. Chinese open-weight models already account for 60% of usage on OpenRouter. 60%. LongCat 2.0 adds to that share. The dominant AI models by volume, globally, are increasingly not from US labs. That is a business story. A policy story. And a very large signal about who shapes AI's future. The US government banned a model to protect its AI advantage. 17 days later, China released a frontier model trained without any US hardware. Both things are true. The export controls were not wrong. They slowed China down. But they did not stop China. And now the question is, what is Plan B? Because Plan A just ran out of time. Subscribe for daily AI